Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy, but with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies. Oh, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovative Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible Indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 39, then Tuesday, clearing skies with a high of 54. The Great Wall has been your home for Chinese favorites since 1981. Don't miss the sesame chicken, mushu pork with Chinese pancakes, or Peking duck. Stop in at the restaurant on France Avenue and 45th Street along the Minneapolis-Edina City line, or check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be Indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in four directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local, national, Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues. Hey, we got a jam-packed show today. It's a Monday here on Turtle Island, and we have our friend Bob Blake from Red Lake. He's the Solar Bear with the Solar News, and then we have Guadalupe Lopez from the MMIR office here in Minnesota to give us some updates and give us a little information about what's going on. And I want to add my friend Bob Blake on right now. Welcome, Bob, to Radio.
Why am I not hearing you?
Oh, no. You'll have to leave and come back. Well, we're going to have Bob on in a second here. Sometimes you have to leave and come back and make things happen. So let me just send him a message. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff. And the office hears you. Let me just message you real quick, Bob. Leave and come back. Sent him a secret message about leaving and coming back. And one of the things we want to talk about is what happened this weekend here, the No Kings March, and then talk about the Solar Bear with the Solar News, and really, all the exciting things that are happening all around Turtle Island. Can you hear us now, Bob? Oh,
Still
can you
getting me.
hear us? I can hear you. Okay. I can hear you, Bob. We love live radio. That's a beautiful thing. And more people are watching us now on YouTube. I should do this more often. And the embarrassment is partially mine. Oh, hey, Santina, good to see you. You got to get some kind of T-shirt. We'll get you a Resist T-shirt. You're one of our biggest fans now. Bob, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now, Bob? No, he can't. Huh. Well, that's crazy. That's totally crazy. And one of the things too, I wanted to talk about Springsteen, talk about some of the costumes. I saw one too that is interesting. Our relatives on the No King story. I saw one that said, "There's no kings except Vikings," and I know our relatives that listen to us on civic media in Wisconsin probably won't like that one, but that's what's happening. I saw a lot of good signs. I wasn't able to bring my sign, and my sign Wendy made was too many issues for one sign. So that's one of the things I thought that was pretty funny. We didn't come up with that, but we knew that was a good one. And so Wendy, the artist, and Wendy was in New York, marching with those 300,000 people. If you've seen those in the street, it was an amazing, amazing thing. And this is just the start of us being, resisting. And it was good to be around all these like-minded people. And it was amazing. And I just was good to be a Minnesotan too. Hey, I want to give a couple shout outs too. We have a Patreon, and I just want to give everyone a big shout out that still gives money towards Native Roots Radio. We really appreciate it, and it keeps us on the air. And I want to give a shout out quick to Nina, and Nina always listens to our show too, and has great comments to say. And I just want to give you a shout out. And that's one of the cool things about being on radio is all the great people that listen. They listen, and they're our friends, and we feel really, really cool. Yeah, so we're going to take a break here pretty soon, but I am texting Bob feverishly, and maybe what I can do is give him a call here. It's crazy. Let me see here. On the fly here. I'm not good on the fly. So as you probably guys know, if I don't have a guest, I'm like the king of ums. So I need a guest to talk to. And Bob's having issues. I know he's got a brand new computer. So it's interesting that we can't hear him right now. So it's a bummer because Bob's a lot of fun, Yeah, he's got dead silent. I'd say reboot your computer. Mm-hmm. Isn't this fun, you guys? I know it's funny that when we first got on the air, I'd be sweating bullets, and it's an amazing thing here to be on and talk to all you great people out there. a big shout out to everybody that listens. I know it's funny. If somebody wants to call in the next 2 minutes, that'd be cool too. At 952-946-6205. That's 952-946-6205. And talk about what happened for you guys during the big No Kings March. And by then, maybe Bob can have his information figured out. One of the things too, big Twins fan, they're losing right now, 3-1, and that's a sad thing for me. And one of the things that's very cool is anybody give us a call, 952-946-6205, 952-926-6205. So that's give us a call. Let's see if Bob can hear us now.
Yeah.
Bob, can you hear us now?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sound great. You sounded great before. You just couldn't hear us.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on with I just got this thing out, Robert. It's a new Apple. I thought Apple was good.
It is, but they always have these little things that on the new computers, new Apple computers, that you have to figure out and go, oh, I have to hit this button to do this. And oh yeah, but I'm glad you're on. We only got a minute left here for this segment, and then we're going to jump right into the next segment. But I wanted to ask you, I saw you had some pictures up at the No Kings March. Was that amazing or what?
That was simply amazing, Robert. And to all the Minnesotans that came out in support of us not having no kings in this country, I salute you. It was amazing having everybody there, and we all got to show up in November. What's happening in this country and what's happening in the world right now is not acceptable, and that form of resistance that we were all together and we all shared together this last weekend was simply amazing. We got to keep the momentum up, Robert.
Yes, we do. Absolutely. And we really, I think that finally the Democrats are kind of, thinking about some good things like, putting these people in jail. We got Marines now for the first time ever that I knew that are refusing to do what the president wants to do. And that's a really interesting concept because they're usually the first to go, and they're like, this war is not our war. This is, an Epstein-Trump war.
Yeah, absolutely. 50,000, Robert, over there right now.
Oh, my God. We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovated Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Deminy from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis Air on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
I'm Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, and I want to be your next United States Senator, and you are listening to Native Roots Radio.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot, and we are with our friend Bob Blake, the Solar Bear with the Solar News. Hey, Bob, I mentioned this when we were struggling getting you on here, but I want to mention it again. There was a guy with a Vikings jersey on, and he had a sign that said, "No kings, but Vikings." I knew.
That's awesome. I agree. The Vikings, no kings. But Robert, getting back to your point though, in the Middle East right now, I mean, the lifeline to a lot of these countries around the world to run their economy is oil. I mean, it literally is the blood of of a lot of the economies of a lot of these nations. And what currently blocking that Hormuz Strait right there, the Strait of Hormuz, is really affecting this oil getting to these other countries, because right now America produces a lot of oil, so we have a lot of oil here, but this is really going to affect these other countries out there. And then right up through the Red Sea is the other spot where you can basically transport some of this oil into the rest of the world. And that right there now is next to Yemen, where these Houthis are now they're starting to bomb Israel. So you're talking about two different areas now where oil can get through out into the rest of the world, and now they are both going to be blocked by essentially war. So Robert, this is not a good thing for the world economy, just put it bluntly.
Well, what's interesting too, Bob, when we were in World War I, we didn't call it World War I. When we were in World War II, we didn't call it World War II. But I think in retrospect, this has been World War III started by our own personal madman.
Absolutely, Robert. And and the thing about it is, there are different reports here now. There are conflicting reports, even from folks that are in this administration saying, their capabilities to produce a nuclear weapon, is being over exaggerated because it was damaged the last time we bombed them, which was very recently. So, and then, a lot of this stuff was already negotiated, in the Biden administration, and even Obama was negotiating this stuff with Iran. So, this right here, I don't, this whole war doesn't make sense. First of all, Robert. Second thing is the defense contractors are getting paid, and now they're lifting sanctions off of Iran oil and Russian oil. Russians are sending tankers now to Cuba, so the United States are going to lift their blockade for fuel to get to Cuba now from Russia. That influence that Russia is going to now have in the Western Hemisphere, which which is unimaginable. This has all been created by Trump and him doing the bidding of Putin, him doing the bidding of Netanyahu in Israel. This is a very bad situation that he's put this country in. But it should be no surprise to the world, should be no surprise to everybody. He's done this in his companies. He's done this in every adventure he's tried to do, start a college. I don't know, Trump steaks. They've all been unsuccessful. So what do you expect, Robert?
Well, yeah, really good point. Now, Bob, I'm so happy that you bring this up because our mainstream media has really failed us. They're not talking about the connections where Russia is now making money where they weren't before, that they're now giving out information to Iran where our soldiers are, and they're laughing all the way. And the ridiculous thing with this guy lying all the time. How can Mark Rubio? If you ever look at Mark Rubio, he looks like he's I don't know. He's a soulless man now.
Absolutely, Robert. And I think the one thing that everybody needs to understand too, and you just said it, Robert, you know, the Russians laughing all the way to the bank. Okay, everyone, here's what's happening. Oil trades in American dollars, the petrodollar, right? And now you've got countries that are losing faith in the American dollar, the petrodollar, and they're starting to trade with their own currencies. People, this is not good. You have to understand the MAGA Republicans and the Trump administration is literally taking down this country in flames. They are burning this country up and just literally in front of our eyes. And that this is how the United States have derived a lot of their influence around the world and have been able to keep peace in this country in this world. And I'm telling you all right now, guys, you know, everything that this guy is doing, yeah, this person's just saying it too right now. Everything that this guy is doing is a clear and present danger to this country and to the world. Trump and his administration is a clear and present danger to the world and this economy right now into the world.
Yeah, and that's why we got to keep pushing our relatives that are Democrat. You know, that's one of the things that I really feel like we should be doing, because we can't let these guys get away with this. We really can't, and we really need to push back. And I'm sorry, you know, I love Michelle Obama, but when they go low, we got to go lower, because this is our country, and I think playing fair has not been the thing. I mean, he lies so much that all those MAGA people think everything's fine with this war, but you know, there's reports that 1,900 American soldiers are killed when he says 19. So I don't know what it is.
And that's another thing too, Robert. You got 50,000 soldiers that are mobilizing in the Middle East. I'm telling you, everybody, that is not a good sign. And once they start coming back in body bags and we start realizing the situation, hey, they are lifting the draft age now. They are lifting all different requirements on this now. They haven't did that since the Vietnam War. People, wake up. This is not good. We've got soldiers in the American streets taking up arms against U.S. citizens. People, this is not good. Everybody, wake up. This is not good. And I'm telling you, Robert, the way that these guys are running this administration, the way that they're running our foreign policy right now, they are really doing the bidding for Putin and the oligarchs over there in Russia. So I just hope that everybody comes to reality and comes to make sure and get this guy out of Washington. And let's vote these a-holes out as soon as possible, Robert.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things too is they know if they don't rig this election that they're in serious trouble, and convictions and things are going to be happening, and let's keep a fire on to our Democratic people that are running for office.
Absolutely. Steve Bannon and them have said it. If we don't win, we're going to jail. And the other part about this is we need to have a Nuremberg type trial and put all these people up on trial and put in the jail behind bars on American soil so everybody can see that this is what happens when you do this. No more messing around again. They did that last time. No more messing around again. They've got to put these people in jail. We have to have a Nuremberg type trials, and put Trump and his cronies where they belong. And Steve Bannon and they've said as much, Robert. They said they know we're going to jail if the Democrats win the midterms.
Yeah, definitely. And then one thing too, I always like to bring up, and especially when we're talking, Bob, serious politics here around Turtle Island, is that remember when Nixon was when he resigned, he didn't go to jail, but his attorney general did, and a lot of other people did in his cabinet.
Yes, absolutely. This has happened before, and it needs to happen again. And Robert, it's such a disgrace that our politicians are keeping these TSA agents without their checks. They're, everybody else goes to work. They have to go and clock in and do their job every week. This is what we pay our politicians to do. Start doing your job. That's what needs to happen, Robert.
Well, supposedly, as of this morning, I heard that Trump did pay them. Now, if Trump could pay them in back pay and then tell them to go back to work, and I haven't heard a report this afternoon, but that's what I heard this morning, he could have ended this a long time ago if that's the case.
Yes, because because these TSA agents are being used as a political football, and that is wrong, and that's not leadership. That's not a president who cares about the people. That's a president who cares about himself and his administration and his cronies and crazy MAGA Republicans. So that's wrong, Robert. You're damn right. They need to pay these people. But this is the job of our politicians that we vote to go in, that we pay. You know, kudos to Delta. Kudos to Delta for canceling the politicians' ability to book their flights and everything like that. Let's do that for healthcare. Let's do that for education. Let's do that for everything for these politicians so they understand that they work for the people.
Definitely. Term limits. We got like 30 seconds, Bob. A quick update on sports.
Yeah. You know what? Hey, the Twins, we still got 159 games here, Robert. So it's going to be a long season. Minnesota Timberwolves are doing great. So is the Wild. I expect them to be in the playoffs. What an incredible game by Duke and UConn this last week in the final seconds. And the Minnesota women's Gophers had a great season. I'm so proud of them. But that UCLA women's team looks tough to beat.
No doubt. Hey, Bob Blake, that's Solar Bear with Solar News. I might have to get you on again today or this week, Bob. We only got you for a segment and a half, and I know we got more to talk about.
Yep, I'm off the road for the next 2 months, so I'm in town.
Oh, right on. I love your hat, too. Go win Twins. Hey, we'll be right back. We'll be with Guadalupe Lopez of MMIR office here in the Twin Cities, Minnesota. We'll be right back. This is Native Roots Radio. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, an art space that's more than the spoon and cherry. Galleries celebrate contemporary visual art, including Indigenous artists like Edgar Heap of Birds from the Cheyenne and Arapaho nations, and Jim Deminy from the Ojibwe Nation. Additionally, film screens, cinema, and performances are shown on stage. And the Walker is free every Thursday night and free every day for citizens and members of tribal nations. Learn more at walkerart.org. I heard sex trafficking happens a lot in Indian country. What is that?
Here are some of the real reasons why sex trafficking happens in Indian country. Unequal gender roles that were forced on us by colonization. Communities don't have enough resources. Silence around domestic and sexual violence. Lack of attention and justice for missing and murdered Indigenous people. There's a lot of behavior that keeps our communities out of balance. These are just a few true reasons why Native communities are targeted by traffickers. When these acts of violence happen in our communities, it opens us all up for exploitation.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
This is Chase Iron Eyes announcing a new show on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota, powered by Native Roots Radio. The show is called Native American Patriot Talk Radio. What will we do on the show? We are going to explore and dive into the source of American constitutional sovereignty, the intersection of Native American and legal issues. Find us the first and third Tuesday of every month at 6 p.m. on AM 950.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hey, it's Robert Pilot from Native Roots Radio. For a meal that feeds your soul and health, check out Gatherings Cafe. Located in the renovated Minneapolis American Indian Center, Executive Chef Vernon Defoe and team serve up incredible indigenous flavors. Gatherings Cafe has amazing bison tacos featuring lean protein from native wise, corn tortillas, and homemade sides. It's fresh, local food rooted in ancestral knowledge. Stop by for breakfast or lunch. That's Gatherings Cafe, where tradition meets innovation. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Nation of Indians, Huron Clan, embodies Onondaga philosophies of peacemaking and relationality in new immersive installation. Visit Agay Jagwa Desnigowaweni. I hope it'll stir your mind and explore a space built for communal rest and contemplation. Simas presents a performance of the same name this May. Learn more about the exhibition and performance at walkerart.org.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, cloudy with a low of 39, then Tuesday, clearing skies with a high of 54. The Great Wall has been your home for Chinese favorites since 1981. Don't miss the sesame chicken, mushu pork with Chinese pancakes, or Peking duck. Stop in at the restaurant on France Avenue and 45th Street along the Minneapolis-Edina City line, or check them out at greatwallrestaurant.us.
You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Robert Pilot. Hey, we are with our friend Guadalupe Lopez, who's Director of Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives here in Minnesota. Great to see you always, and always a good spirit and a good talking to you, and thank you so much for coming on.
Sure, Robert. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, talking a little bit here, I was wondering if you could just let our audience and remind our audience across Turtle Island here about your office and your work here at Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Office.
Sure. So there was a task force developed in 2019, and from that task force, a report was created. And the legislature signed the office in the statute, and the office opened in 2021. I always want to say 2001. I don't know why, but 2021. So currently we have 5 staff. We have a community planner who is Anna Negretti, who occasionally joins you as well. We have Tawny Smith Savage, who is our prevention specialist, and I know that she has been on your show. We have Taylor Wenzel, who's a intelligence specialist, and Naida Medicine Girl, who is our victim specialist. And then I am the office director. So 5 for the whole state and 11 sovereign nations.
Yeah, that's amazing. And talk a little bit too to our audience about how unique this office is and how like every state should have an office like this.
Right. So we're the first of its kind, but we know that the movement around the missing and murdered epidemic and raising awareness around it, doing actionable items, marching, calling for justice have been, throughout from Canada to the United States tribes. What this office does is we support and guide MMR impacted families during law enforcement investigations. We are not an investigative office, but we work with law enforcement to try to get answers and to move things forward with families. We also facilitate that communication between investigators and survivors and family members. We connect families and victims with services, professional mental health services, support groups, crime victim advocates, other things, because we do not do direct service ourselves, but there's many people who have this expertise that we would love to refer families to for support. Helping distribute missing persons materials, creating flyers and billboards. We have a reward fund that just launched July of 2025. And so that is working with law enforcement again to have tips come in to hopefully push cold cases, forward for justice for families and our relatives. And then we also have a really unique prevention piece, which I'm really excited about with what we do prevention with youth around missing and murdered, the epidemic, and that is, throughout with the school systems and then other community events.
Yeah, it's an amazing thing, Guadalupe. I know years ago you've been in this uh, kind of work for 25 years, and gotta be gotta be daunting.
Well, so the picture you have on your on your announcement of who's going to be on the show, I was like, man, I really stopped dyeing my hair, so I really noticed these beautiful silvers coming in. But yes, it is. I need to give you an updated picture of the new highlights I have.
Yeah.
It is. I was listening to your guest, Mr. Blake, prior to me joining, and just listening to some of the dialogue you had. I think more than ever, we need to be standing up against justice, calling for justice. I think, I'm very proud to be an Anishinaabe, and the other relatives who, reside in Minnesota, are Lakota, Dakota, Ho-Chunk, and other tribes just coming together. I know that sometimes when things happen in our communities, for instance, the ice surge that was happening and was impacting our Indigenous communities and impacted our office as well, is something to stand together with. And I seen great collaboration, organizing that happens, and that just wants to continue. And so everybody, in my opinion, everybody has has a place to do something in some sort of movement, right? Some people are the organizers or the front lines people. Sometimes it is like the cooks, the people who are taking care of the children and the sick, and however that comes about for when catastrophes happen in communities. And so it's important for us to come together around epidemics. There's so many, unfortunately, missing and murdered also is tied with human sex trafficking, also tied with domestic violence and tied with sexual violence. And so making sure that those are always on the radar, that we always talk about those things. We don't keep those silent in our communities, because that's what keeps that thriving. And then coming up with ways of what do we do when somebody has caused harm? How do what do we do that with how do we look at that through an indigenous lens, but also recognizing that we do have laws in place that are from a Western society model. And so what do we do as community members to make sure that our voices and the impacts of how that affects our communities we're sitting at the table helping make those laws and rules and what we want to see, for justice for our people.
A lot of times too, when our relatives become missing too, there's abuse in the relationship too. What's a good way for people to reach out and get help?
So Day One is a crisis center for people. I'm just going to pull it up real quick here, so we can maybe share the number with you. But it is, if you just Google Day One, it is one of the numbers that they put in all of the. When I worked at Violence Free Minnesota, we made sure that they were always in newsprint when they ever did a story about domestic violence, and so the number there is 1-800-799-7233.
I'm going to get that up here in a minute, or at least have it up there for the next segment, because I'm a little slow with these computers lately. Getting old.
Yes, Day One Hotline. Just Google Day One Hotline, and you will always get that number. And so, what they'll do is they will connect you to the nearest domestic or rape crisis center. There's also sheltering that needs to happen, or that can happen through them. So that is one of the resources that is really important to know.
One of the things I've known you for quite a few years. How did you get into this work? I've never asked you that.
Oh my gosh. Well, let's see. I needed a job. And that's what it really boiled down to. Actually, I was a junior accountant at YWCA in Minneapolis. And my mom had passed away, and I was in a really severe depression, losing my mom. I was 27 years old, which is pretty young to lose your mom. And I already had 2 children, and I was really depressed. And so I had a relative of my husband who was working at a shelter, and said, "Hey, we need part-time staff." And I thought, hey, I could do part-time as a shelter advocate. And when I went there, I just it was a natural fit. I've been doing advocacy ever since I was little. My mom had lupus and lost her eyesight, and so I was navigating systems at a very young age, social services, healthcare systems at like 10, 11, and had to do advocacy for my mom in those spaces as a Native woman and blind. And so it was just a natural fit. And Nelda Goodman, who is, I believe, elder in residence at American Indian Family Center, actually was my supervisor at the time, and she's seen something in me and pushed me forward for a full time, and then into the community advocacy program, where I worked at the family court system, helping families receive orders for protection and being, supporting them in court proceedings. I don't think if she seen something in me, or, I don't know what path I would have been in front of me, but it was her believing in me and pushing and really pushing to have my skill set in a different setting in the court system that really moved my career different. So we need all the mentors, like I could have done it without Nelda Goodman or Nicole Matthews or Eileen Houdon or there's so many women, there's so many people, who have shaped me and helped me become who I am today, in good ways. And when I got scolded too, oh my gosh, man, when you do something, you get scolded a little bit of like how you could have done it better or different, but you have to, be in this work for humility. And I think the biggest challenge of this work, and this goes just not in just my field, but in all the fields, is checking your ego. I think our egos kind of get in the front of us once in a while, and we're human. That's just, it's the human trait, but just really checking your ego and walking in this work with humility.
Yeah, I agree. One of the things too, in trying to help people get you out of ego too, and help people get out of self.
Right. Yeah, I thought about, I'm not gonna lie, there's been many times where I was like, I don't know if I can do this work anymore. It's like I don't see the change, right? It's not fast enough for me, which if I can just support one person, if I've changed a situation for one person, that's good enough. That starfish story, throw one back in, even though there's thousands laying out there. So
Yeah, definitely. Hey, we're here with Guadalupe Lopez, the CEO of our MMIR office that we are so proud of, and we're going to take a quick break. This is Native Roots Radio.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
Hello, this is Robert Pilot. For Native relatives, healing is more than just sobriety. It's reclaiming Indigenous masculinity as a sacred, balanced force. Join Hunter Thundercloud for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. We explore how personal recovery uplifts our communities. It's time men step back into roles as mentors and spiritual leaders. Recovery is collective, and it starts with us. Tune in the first and third Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. for Native Roots Radio presents Controlled Fire. Let's tend the fire together. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center. Did you know that the Walker has a cinema that shows film almost every week? From artist talks, genre-defined performances, and world premieres to archival shorts and experimental soundscapes, the Walker Cinema explores all modes of global and local filmmaking. Get your first tickets for free. Visit walkerart.org/cinema to learn more. That's walkerart.org/cinema. See you at the movies.
When we heal from our traumas,
When we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Hi, it's Dr. Evan Adams, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio. Hey, Victor, you better be listening.
In this portion of the show, we'd like to bring awareness to our wolf and bear populations throughout Turtle Island. Say no to the hunts.
Hey, welcome back, everyone. This is Native Roots Radio, and we are with our friend Guadalupe Lopez, who is the CEO director of the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Relatives Office here in Minnesota. Great to have you on. How many offices across Turtle Island do we have that are similar to what you are working on here?
Currently, there's just the Minnesota office, but I know that there's in the works, there's this work is being done nationally. So we are actually, Anna is helping convene in September a gathering of people from other states who are doing this work as well, but they might not have like state offices per se, but they are doing this work in similar or in unique different ways that we call on each other's expertise on. So that's really interesting. I got to be a part of those. One planning call, and we have one coming up again, where we'll be doing information sharing around cold cases, like best practices, just visiting with one another as well. So that'll be in September.
Yeah, amazing. I don't know if you heard the spot, the commercial, the PSA before you got on, but
I did. I recognized a voice or two.
Yeah, I did too. Oh, wow.
That's awesome. That's good that they're still there. Those PSAs are really relevant, and so I'm glad that you're still playing them. They're really important for people to remember and to hear when it comes to, I always say this, that this is all preventable. Violence is preventable, and I have to believe that, or else I'm working, I want to work myself out of a job. And so I think that we need to gather that our leadership from our youth and every age in between to come up with strategy on how to end violence in our communities.
Yeah, I gotta quickly give a shout out to. I listen to AM 950, which is the station we are on here in the Twin Cities, and I know people in civic media and our other stations don't know what we're talking about because they run their own ads. But I got to give a shout out to Chad, the owner of AM 950, and playing these PSAs. These are the only PSAs that they play on this radio station.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, hopefully we'll be getting some more PSAs going. I think that they should be playing all nationally. I know that I know NPR was actually doing some around what is their other it's NPR and then
The
there's
Current?
another the Current. Yes, they were actually playing some PSAs around domestic violence and awareness around it, which was phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. The more information, the better. And I bring this up to you. I bring it up to Anna every time we talk. But I know when I first started hearing about this epidemic with native people, we were I heard people that were up in Duluth talking about the ship, and I had no idea that that was been going on for many years. But it makes perfect sense with people that have come from all over the world at that port up there. That's can you just lightly talk about that?
The international waters, right? And so I heard about it. So when I used to work at the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition, we started to do the interview process of interviewing our relatives who have been experienced um, had survival in sex trafficking and prostitution. And so that Duluth was one of the places that we had interview processes in here, Bemidji, Minneapolis, and then in Duluth. And so that is something that we were hearing about from some of the survivors. And I also in there, we weren't the goal of the project was or the research was really to look at experiences in survival of people who are surviving prostitution and sex trafficking. But one of the questions that we did ask in there that we don't necessarily we didn't publish in the date in that data was the connection to missing and murder. We asked every single person out of 105, did they know of somebody who could have fallen into a missing and murdered, and all of them said yes. Which, you know, speaking with the CEO of MUSAC, Nicole Matthews, you know, looking at that data, I know that they wanted to possibly, you know, look into continuing that. I know it was the first of its kind. It really changed the trajectory of the way that our communities are looked at with sex trafficking. Or, you know, I remember first going with law enforcement and presenting, and the energy that I received was unwelcoming, and it was kind of like, what are you doing here? Now today, I went to do a training at the BCA with one of my colleagues, Taylor, and the knowledge that law enforcement have, the how far it has came from 2012 is like, it makes me want to cry, because now it's being believed, it's being understood in a different way, that it is a crime. It's not what people were, you know, thinking of prior to that. So I'm just I'm really proud of the work that Minnesota does. We come from a really, you know, a pretty awesome state that is progressive. And I mean, not just having the missing and murdered Indigenous relatives office, but we also have a missing and murdered Black women and girls office. That's a first of its kind. And that shows the effort of our most vulnerable and marginalized communities, and the harm that's caused in order to have a state back that up. It's not perfect, but we're working on it, right? It takes everybody. So,
Right.
yeah.
And that's great to hear. You know, you always have to look at not how far you have to go, but how far you've come. And by talking about that instance with the police and how they're being trained now as opposed to 2012 is amazing.
Yes, I agree. You're kind of cutting in and out a little bit. I don't know if that's my audio or yours, but I think that definitely we should always look back, because sometimes it's always the darkest when you're the leader, because you're the one that's pushing down the grass for the people to come behind you. So always remember, like, you know, and so there's been times where I'm like, I'm tired of walking, you know, making the path, but that's then I had to, you know, check my own ego. I was like, I'm not. There's so many people out there. They're doing so many amazing things, and I I don't know if we give ourselves enough time to rest, and I don't know if we give ourselves enough time to celebrate. and really look for things that bring us joy, because we are more than colonization and the impacts that it has on our communities. We are more than, the epidemic of missing and murders in our communities. We are genocide survivors, and I'm so proud to be a mother and a grandmother, and I'm proud to be a sister to whoever, and so to have our song and dance and our language. So I wouldn't want to be anything else.
That's awesome. Hey, we got less than a minute. Can you give out information on how our listeners and viewers can find out more about MMIR in Minnesota?
Sure. So we have a website, and if you want to do just dpsmn.gov and then put MMIR DPS, that's our website. In there, you will see all of the tabs where you can learn more about our office. And if you do have a loved one that is missing, you can call 911 immediately. You do not have to wait 24 hours. So please know that if you have somebody who is missing, make a police report as soon as possible. There is no waiting period.
Wow, that's great. Guadalupe, thank you so much for coming on, and it's great to see you as always.
Good to see you too.
Right on. Hey, Native Roots Radio, we'll see you tomorrow. Support comes from the Walker Arts Center, local artist Rosie Simas, Seneca Native.